Whoa!
We did it. We're here. Hello, everybody. What's up? Welcome to Adobe Office Hours. My name is Andrew Hochradel. Who are you?
I am Nick Longo. So happy to be here. We're seeing so many great people in the chat already. This is going to be amazing.
Yes, and
Amazing.
you know, if you've ever tuned in to Office Hours, we love doing giveaways. So we're going to start off the stream with a fun giveaway. What we want to see in chat is drop a question for us that you'd like us to talk about, that you'd like us to address, and we'll be picking some of those people to win one-on-one portfolio reviews with Nick and I.
Ooh.
And for those of you that don't win, we have a gift for you, and we are going to be giving you a pack of free fonts. That's right, free fonts for everyone. And you can find that by going to our Discord. If we want to flip over onto my screen, our Discord link is right there. And I know that one of our moderators is going to be dropping it as well. And the Discord is a great place to get connected, to get feedback, and to learn all about how you can put up your portfolio and make it the next level. All right. Oh, where did you get such amazing bow ties, Nick?
I will gladly admit this is Target, baby.
Yes.
Thanks to Narek for making the suggestion to get these on before the show.
Same here. lots of Target happening on this stream. And on the Discord, you can navigate over here and find the office hours. Click on that fall semester, and we will be posting links at the end of this stream for free fonts for everyone. It's going to get a super lit in your font catalog. So make sure that you check that out at the end of the stream. And as far as our giveaways, Nick, do you want to pick somebody to pick as your one-on-one?
Ooh, yeah, I will do that. Should we do that now as it's coming through?
Go for it. Let's do it.
Let's see. I'm looking at, let's go with Haley.
All right, and I'm picking Clayton Gazik.
Perfect.
And if you were one of those people that we just called out, go ahead and send us a DM right here on Behance. Find the button, send us a direct message, and we'll set up a time to hang out with you and give you feedback, which leads us to Nick. What is this show? What are we doing here? What's happening?
Office Hours. We started this a few months back. I think we think it's around March. And our idea here was to give you guys on Adobe's live stream every Friday a really great, just an alternative from your school, from your work, from anything, helping you guys get ready, building a great portfolio. We have been actually right in the middle of fall semester right now, which is kind of cool. So we're doing all different kinds of great exercises and homework. And we meet every Friday, and this is our Adobe Max premiere.
We're excited.
Cool.
Yeah, so we will be live today as well as tomorrow, and then again on Friday, giving you all the advice we possibly could give. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about what we think makes a great case study and what makes a great portfolio. Nick, what's a case study? Before we jump in there, what is a case study?
We described it on Monday as something totally new, and this was great. It's kind of like if you were to consider everything that you have done a book, one of the chapters would be your case study. And your case study is where you tell the story as good as you can. You hold the hand of the viewer going through it. First things first, stating that objective, making sure you're letting those people know what exactly you are doing. What was the problem you solved, right? And most important, we're finding too, is showing some process. You've got to put some sketching. You got to put something in there that shows how you got to the end result. So that chapter now is completely full, right? From beginning to end.
Yep. Yeah. So each of those pieces are part of your portfolio, and each of those case studies, like Nick said, are like chapters in a book. Yeah. So we're going to hop in, and we are going to give you 5 tips that we think make really strong case studies. And then we're going to move in and actually look at some portfolios on Behance today and give our feedback. So Nick, do you want to talk about, first off, what makes a strong case study?
I would say for me, it's kind of everything we just kind of were mentioning there. Everything about what you have done to get to that end result. The key things, great. This is where you put in the most attractive, greatest hero shots of your work, and some really good copy, right? We've been talking a lot about how you write the right copy to help kind of connect the dots between each thing. What about you?
Yep. So I think the biggest things for me, my big one is to state the objective and then show the process, like the behind the scenes. And so talking about showing process, we want to see how bad you are so that we can appreciate how good you are, right? Well, you can have totally terrible sketches, and that's totally fine to have as something that's in your portfolios and in your work. So moving right along, Nick, do you want to talk a little bit about how we think that people should diversify their work in their portfolios?
Now more than ever, I think is a perfect time for you guys to start looking at the work that you have and identifying if there's something missing. I know right now we've been telling a lot of our students to start thinking about other things that you could be doing. Have you designed something in the last few months that was very impactful or very informative? These are the things that headhunters, HR departments, creative directors are going to be looking for in the next few months to the next few years as far as how you communicate those things. So if you don't have anything like that, we're going to show you maybe in the next day or two a few examples of what diversifying your work could be. And that's different for everybody, right?
Yep. And case studies, Alicia, a good question. Do they apply to video portfolios? I would say that that's called more of a reel. You can do case studies for video portfolios if you're talking about production, if you're showing your editing process. A case study is all about inviting a friend over and telling them the story of how this project came along. So even if it is video, maybe don't even show the end video, just show your process that you've made to get there. Case studies more about conveying how you think than about what you do. So that's the really important part to me when I'm looking at case studies. So again, showing your process, we want to see you document each of the steps, start out with the sketches, and then step us along the way. It's a lot like holding my hand, right? You're telling me to go on a journey with you. I need you to hold my hand and then go through. So push me at each point, push all the way through. So continuing on, let's talk about flex on scale. Nick, what do we mean by this idea of flex on scale?
We've been seeing some portfolios and some case studies that might have just been too overwhelming when it came to something that they really wanted to show their kind of like their skills and their creativity. The thing here though is if you do have something quite big, you do want to show that you can maintain that quality all throughout that entire thing and show consistency. So let's say you have a 50-page book, but you don't need to show every book of it, but you did show consistency in every one of those layouts. Do a quick GIF or something about it to show it in its entirety, but you're doing it in a much more clean and understanding fashion. I think there's a lot of definitions of this, but in general, it's if you have something big, if you have something great that is totally you, show it in strength.
Yep. And Jacqueline asked an awesome question. If my portfolio is video and 2D, should I have a case study for both? Yes, you can make as many case studies as you want. And I actually have made a full presentation website that is for my branding work and a separate one that is for my editorial work. So if you want to break them off because they don't really relate, 100% you can break them off as long as you can maintain the quality between the two. And for me, flexing on scale is the equivalent of, hey, I can hit a home run. Watch me hit 40 home runs. That it's showing that you're really, really good and you can maintain that goodness over whatever amount of time you need. So continuing on, let's talk about passion projects. Nick, I know this is a big one for you. When do you want to see passion projects versus client projects? We get this question a lot of like, do I only show client projects? Do I show student work? What do we put in our portfolios?
I like this idea of maybe holding off to the end with it. We've seen if it is nothing but passion projects that you've done, what a great impact it makes. And then it's a really fantastic, robust portfolio. But if it's something you're showing at the end, that's what you're remembered with. This is the stuff. It's totally okay to put this in there, guys. We've seen reviews and we've seen portfolio reviews where tons of instructors and professionals were watching. And the minute a passion project dropped, everyone just stopped in their tracks and wanted to look at every little detail. This tells me so much more about who you are than any probably project in your portfolio. Would you agree?
Yep, absolutely. And people are asking, where can we get this presentation? You can get it on our Discord. We'll be posting it at the end of the stream. We actually have more info for you from this that is in the Discord from our Adobe Bootcamp session on Monday. So there's going to be a ton of great resources. We'll have examples and things you can click through. So make sure you join that Discord right here and then navigate over to the fall semester tab. We'll be posting the free fonts as well as this presentation for you to go back over at the end. So love the questions that are coming in. Keep them coming in, and we will answer as we go as much as we can. And my last point is that people hire people. Don't try to be perfect. Be you. In your portfolios, in your work, people are asking, does this only apply to illustration or photography? Whatever you're saying, you're creative and you have a voice, and people don't want to hear a robot just repeating a message. I want to see a unique perspective. That's the real value that you bring as a creative, is your perspective. So show me in your case study what your perspective is.
We've been seeing this a lot today and yesterday in a lot of the Adobe Max speeches. Every person is talking so much about that unique signature that is you, and making sure you're making that clear in all of your work. Believe me, it shows. Like, that's the kind of stuff. Have your signature on everything, and it keeps a consistent value throughout everything.
Yep, absolutely. So you can join us this Friday. We will be doing at 1 p.m. a question palooza. We will be taking all of the questions that we've got this entire week. You guys are dropping a bunch of really great ones. I'm mentally bookmarking them as we go. And if there's a mod that wants to grab some of the good questions for us, that would be super helpful. We're going to be sitting on Friday. Literally, our lessons going out the window or just answering your questions. So join us tomorrow for another review, as well as Friday for our question palooza. All right, let's go ahead and hop into some portfolios. Does that sound good, Nick?
Yeah.
All right.
This is like old times. Dude.
It's like old times. Nick, do we have a disclaimer that we usually take before we hop into portfolios?
We do. Okay, guys, this is where you can just get out a notebook, because everything we're going to say right now, anytime we love doing this part too, critiquing portfolios. Just make sure anything you hear, it probably could be like totally associated to something that's in your book as well. Everything we kind of give is like those core principles that can really be the thing for any of you to learn from, regardless of your discipline, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yep. And mods, if we could drop one of the links to the Discord server, that would be great. And yes, this is advice that will be for everyone. We'll be looking at portfolios that are a little more beginner, that are more intermediate, that are a little more advanced. And just because it's not your portfolio doesn't mean that you can't cheat off your neighbor's test and take the notes that we're giving them and apply it to your work. So pay attention. And if you have questions as well, drop those into chat. You know that we're here. I'm looking at every single one as it comes through and trying to vet and talk at the same time. So we'll get to what we get. And Pacific time is the time zone for this. Sorry about that. All right, let's hop in here with our friend Anna Magalit from Austria. And Nick, overall first impression, how do we feel about the Behance profile, the presentation?
This is really something we do a lot, guys. When we even just look at this vantage point of someone's Behance page or someone's portfolio, what's the first impression you get? And I'd say the first thing I get is she's very multidisciplined. Like, there's a lot of good. I see almost like 3D vibes. I see illustration. I see great graphics. I see a little bit of branding. Definitely conceptual, right? Like, to me, this tells me, wow, there's a lot here, right?
Yep.
What's your first impression?
Absolutely. I think that this is really great. It looks like it's more of a kind of beginner learning, growing kind of profile. But again, case studies and showing work is all about showing how you think. And I love that they're conceptual, because I'm understanding the creativity that she has with some of these pieces, right? And we're seeing a little bit of the before and after. And as we go through some of these pieces, Nick, what are you noticing, and what's your advice for as we go through these pieces here?
Yeah, so this is where a reason we wanted to show this one first was we're seeing beautiful, beautiful art. We're seeing some really, really nice stuff, right? What we're kind of missing is what we talked about in our first slide, and that's the case studies. We wanted to see a little bit more of that interconnection between what is this project, what was your objective, what was your problem, and how did you solve it? I'd love to see a sketch or two of how she thought of this and what happened and where did it go. And then, like Andrew said earlier, some of that hand holding. I'd love to see the sketch, maybe a paragraph or two telling me what it is. But you can see, imagine if she had this in there, how amazing this piece would look with a little more explanation, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Just giving us a little more of, hey, what's happening here? What's the problem that you're trying to solve? And almost what's the journey that you're taking me on, right? So here it feels like we're getting maybe a page and a chapter of a book instead of getting the chapters and the book and the overview. So if you have a portfolio like this that you're posting individual images, consider going back and building out, what's the problem we're trying to solve? What's the concept here? Help me understand even the this horror movie poster.
Yeah.
What's the story about? What are the pieces that you're using? Why is this being put together like this?
And the hard part's done, right? The hardest part is like those finished pieces. So all you're doing is breaking it up and show us a little bit of that process.
Absolutely. Yeah. And people are asking, is it great to use Adobe Portfolio, or do we just need things on Behance? Adobe Portfolio is an amazing resource. And actually tomorrow, the show, we will be highlighting Portfolio, and I'll be showing you how to take your Behance profile and convert it over to an Adobe Portfolio. It's super easy. It's totally powerful, very customizable. And so we're going to be covering that a little bit tomorrow. So make sure you tune it back in for that.
Yeah.
But let's move on to our next portfolio and take a little bit of a look at the next step. So here we have a little bit of beginner. Some of you may be here that you're posting images, but a case study is a little bit more than that. So let's go ahead and, sorry. So somebody says, I can't believe they consider this beginner. So I wouldn't consider the work beginner, but the way it's being presented, maybe it could be a little bit more, right? Building out further case studies. So that's what I mean by beginner, is that it is it doesn't have the robust case studies that we're usually looking for here.
And isn't that a great thing to see? And I think we had a great episode last week about imposter syndrome, and that idea that we're continually comparing ourselves with someone. But that's a great example to show none of us, including all of us here, and anybody at Max Telling You, hasn't figured it out yet. There's room to improve with everybody.
Absolutely. Yes. And a lot of people are asking how to submit. There are ways to submit your portfolio. I believe Ahmad can drop a link for you to submit those portfolios, because we will be looking at more tomorrow. So
perfect. Moving
on to our next designer. Here we go. It is Giravarshan Balasubram from India. Love that. Super fun. So let's take a look. Looking at the work, this work is amazing.
I love these colors, right? Like everything. Yes. This is great.
It has a great vibe, and this is a great way to introduce yourself. So making your Behance portfolio or anything, imposter syndrome is kind of sus. Yes, it is. I love that. So making your Behance profile or your Adobe portfolio, when you land, I want it to be the prologue. I want it to tell me who you are, what you're about. And I feel like I understand that so well, right? I understand the work. It's awesome work. So let's click into a project and start to understand your case study a little bit here.
All right, what do we got?
All right, so we are clicking on, I went into the editorial illustrations, and as we're scrolling through, we're seeing some of the editorial illustrations, and these are amazing. This is incredible work. But when I am an employer, or I'm someone that's looking to hire you for more editorial illustrations, I don't know what this is. I don't know why I should care about it. I obviously care about it because it's good work. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, what are the steps that you're doing here? Are you piecing things together? Why are you making these decisions? I'd love to see a little bit more description of how this came together. And people in chat are asking, are we going to look at some good case studies? Yes, we are today, and show you examples of that.
Yeah. I think this one, you're right, man. I think I can look at this art. It looks fantastic. Also, too, I want to mention from his overall page, to me, those tiles are just as important of the design as some of the stuff that you're putting into it, right?
Yes.
You want to make sure that it's like, that's your showcase. That's where you're going to have those cards that you want to be clickable. So here, look at this work is just fantastic and brilliant, and and so different from the last one. Just give us that context. And we're really showing you this, guys, to show you the value of when it's not there, where could this go? Will a recruiter not look any further on this because there is no explanation of it?
Yep, exactly. And our moderators are dropping that link for you to engage in the Career Center and submit your portfolios. So that is where you're going to submit for tomorrow. Don't drop the links in chat. Go ahead and submit using that link right there.
Correct.
And continuing on and looking at this portfolio, right? We're looking at some more of these pieces. And Nick, if we want to click on the digital playing cards, we're starting to step into a territory that is a little bit more of a case study, right?
Yeah. So he's got a nice paragraph, at least the title, right? Something telling me what's here. Keep scrolling. What do we got? Let's see. So a lot of work. Again, this is a good flex on scale version. I like the fact that he went right into showing me some graphic elements of what makes the cards different with those different color palettes. Do you guys see the difference now? We're starting to understand where this is, how he made it, what changes per each one. Again, I think we can continue on this. He can really dig a little deeper and show a little bit more. but we're getting there. Right.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is something as we're stepping into what a good case study looks like. This slide right here is exactly what we want, right? So it's something that isn't a shock and wow, right? I look at it, I'm like, these are cool, but I'm starting to understand, oh, he's thinking with systems. It's not just something that he's going to, keep doing one thing.
Yes.
He's thinking with systems, and he's trying to, piece things together and how he can augment them. And to me, when I see this, I think, oh man, I want to see more of this. I want to see the sketches. I want to see the color palettes. I want to understand where you're going with this.
Yes.
And so let's go ahead and look at the collages. So this is a great example of the flex on scale. And this is something that flex on scale, oh, this is a cool collage. And I keep scrolling and I literally throw my scroll wheel and it's just like an endless amount of collages. So this is a great way to flex on scale, which means I can do something well, and I'm going to keep doing it well again and again and again and again and again.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and look at his logo folio. We see a lot of people, right, have logos to show off in their portfolios. How do we do that? What's a good case study? Let's look at the logo folio 2 and see what happens here.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of them.
There's going to be a lot of logos. This is how you know it's good. And someone just said, how do we deal with someone stealing our work? Nick and I were actually talking about this right before the stream. Nick, how do you deal with someone stealing work?
I think the best thing to do is approach them independently, approach them solo, not in the crowd. I've been hearing a lot of people talking about some big names who have had that happen. First, it's a compliment. Think of it that way, right? Secondly, I think it's just calmly handle it with an email. Don't need to blast it to the world. Let's just be all honest. It's like we look at things, it inspires us, but I think it's the best tactic to go if that has ever happened to you.
Absolutely. And we were talking about imposter syndrome. And I think that the solution to imposter syndrome is having someone steal your work. I have never felt more like I've made it. And like imposter syndrome has never been further away from me than when someone stole my work.
So earlier we were saying if someone asked us, what would you do if someone copied your work? I think our first response was, have a celebration.
And do case studies work with personal photography projects? Yes, 100%. I'm actually posting a series of case studies next week for Halloween. I did a personal photo shoot with one of my favorite photographers. Stelda art directed it, and I'm going to write up case studies on what the thoughts were going into it, the sketches I had. And yes, photographers, sketch your shots before you shoot them.
Super cool.
How about that?
What's kind of interesting on this logo folio, and let's call it what everyone's doing, right?
Yes.
What other things can we do to maybe make this a little more? So it's a case study of these. I'd love to see maybe a sketch next to it, or if it was a rebrand, show something next to it. What else do you think they could do to kind of fill in those blanks so it's not just logo?
I think again, taking us on a journey and showing us bits and pieces of what else happened with these brands. I actually think that this logo that you've put here, you have a case study for a little bit down here. And so this is getting a little bit, again, we're stepping closer and closer. This is what we want to see.
There we go, guys.
A lot more in a case study. So
Houston, we have a case study.
We have a case study. I think in this, Nick, I think that we could definitely have a little bit more of explanation, a little bit more copywriting.
Yes.
But this is taking us there.
Yes.
And so here we have a little bit of information, and this brand was done ahead of their event, gifting cards and badges as a gratitude gesture for the support of the audience.
Beautiful.
Nick is very big. You're very big on how do you start your case studies?
Ooh, I start with a kind of a teaser shot that doesn't give too much away, but starts the conversation. I love this, where even an environmental thing, if it's a festival, if it's something that is got a human touch to that, put that in there as the teaser. You can get the logo in just like they've done it here. Then you have that paragraph that talks a little bit about what it is, what to expect, and how are you going to even just judge if this case study was successful or not, right? You need a little bit up front. I do love the applications. I love how the color palettes behind the applications are all still in his brand. This looks really, really great. Another great thing there to show. Poster. This could be interjected with maybe a little more copy in between, but do you guys see the difference? What's happening here? All of a sudden we're seeing like mock-ups, and we're seeing dimension, and we're seeing like shadow and drops. It looks great.
Yeah, so we're starting to see a little bit of application. And if you've ever seen watched QVC, this is such a side tangent, but it ties back, I promise. If you ever watched QVC, the reason that things look so appealing on QVC, and I think that it was in a movie that I saw, is that they're using their hands. And when you see their hands interacting with the product, then you think of it as your hands interacting with the product. And so instead of just seeing logos kind of in digital space on backgrounds, great. Designers love looking at a good, well-designed logo, but the average person doesn't care. They want to see, what is this going to do for my life? And putting it on mockups like this is a great resource to build out your case studies and show them, oh, this isn't just a coat hook. This is your coat hook, and that's your tote bag. And it helps me relate and understand how this brand integrates into my life, which is what's very important.
If I can get a cool little plug-in, tomorrow is a great little session on Adobe Dimension, and we're building case study like hero shots in Dimension. Definitely look it up for tomorrow, but that's exactly why we came up with that idea, is this missing element, use another tool from Adobe and make incredible looking stuff. A ton of my students are in the chat right now, and all of them have been using Dimension like crazy.
Yes.
It makes you, it puts you above that level of not going to the same mockups that everybody else is using. So
and so
really great.
People are asking Adobe Stock for mockups. Yup, Adobe Stock is an amazing resource to grab mockups, and some of the Behance projects, people even provide you with their mockups that you can use there. So you can search on Behance, you can look on Adobe Stock. There's a lot of great resources within the Adobe Creative Cloud floating circles that you can get mockups, and even that, find some good image, Photoshop it on there, even if it isn't a mockup, Photoshop it on there, use Dimension, learn something new, because it makes the world of difference. And we are going to see that world of difference when we move on to the next one, which is Daniela A. Rice. So let's move into our next one.
I'm sorry, ex-students as well are using it.
Yes.
I was corrected.
And so looking at this project, this is stepping a little bit further into a zone where we are having a full case study. Now, we've talked a lot about case studies, right? And we're talking about holding the hand. We're talking about walking us through the process. This is going to be a step a lot closer to what we want to see in a great case study. So I'm going to click on the Age of Sync and start looking at this. And right away, what is your impression when we land here?
Yeah, I obviously know what it probably is. I think we're talking about a watch app right off the bat. I love the idea of this. I love that it's the most recent watch model. Very, very important. I know that's something people spot out, particularly designers spot out quite quickly. This is great. She's getting into this idea of telling us a little bit. I know she improves with the next one we're going to look at, but I think we could have a little more explanation here. What do you think?
Yeah, I want to make a point here to show what the difference in our experience would be if this image and this image were flipped. Okay, so remember what I said, we want to put it in context. You always want your projects to be in context. This is a great illustration, but if we land here and it's like, oh, I designed the branding and the logo, cool. But by landing on this image, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's this product that I can interact with. How does this come into my life? This is awesome. I want to look more into it. So doing something that puts it in context always takes your design to the next level. And in your case studies, this is how you tell me a story. This is how you grab my hand and you're like, let's go through this journey together. So scrolling through, now we start to see a lot more of that process. And Nick, what do you think about this UI UX kind of trends that happen in case studies?
Yeah, I like this is looking kind of cool. I'm a big fan of seeing ones, being that it's not a discipline that I'm in. I feel like maybe I can judge it a little more open-mindedly because I see a lot of the same stuff over and over again. I do like this. I don't know if the blue on blue on blue on blue, maybe a bright yellow as the background or part of that orange or yellow from the dinosaur could be a great background to break up this heavy, heavy blue over and over and over again. That would be my first thought. And also too, I'm not quite sure. I don't know what it is yet. I do know it's an app. It looks like it's a challenge app, but I got to know.
Exactly. So let's.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk you through. This is a POV TikTok. POV. You're looking at this case study. So we're looking at this case study. We land here, and I think, oh, cool. This is cool. It's like a watch thing. That thing's really cute. Welcome to the age of sync. Okay, what is this? Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm ready for the age of sync. I scroll down, and I'm like, okay, cool. This is a cool logo. So maybe we're gonna show the logo process, and then we get in. We're like, oh, okay. So it's a game. I think maybe that I play with my body or something, and like I get rewards. That's cool. Like I like getting rewards. That'll be fun. And then I come down here. I'm like, okay, so I do it on my watch and I have to do something here to do something. And then it gets to, hey folks, check out my new app for the Apple Watch and iPhone. So at this point I've landed here and I'm already kind of, what is it? Why should I check this out?
Make it like totally apparent to you, right?
Exactly. So what I want to see is right at the beginning, we land here. Welcome to the age of sync, the future of fitness, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, cool. It's a fitness thing. And then a little thing that's like, oh, here is, we wanted something cute. And here's our character. His name is Squatty and he's on this journey with you. And I'm like, yeah, I love Squatty. And then we come down here and it's like, you can earn things. And the goal was to get people off their couches and mobile by integrating good design and cute characters into an app. Right?
Exactly.
So defining what your problem is and how you're solving it at the beginning of that case study makes me more engaged and makes you look way smarter because it's showing how smart you actually are and all the thought process that's gone into this, not just the visuals.
Yeah. I think it's also like, it's obviously to me showing me that it's making exercise or charting your exercise a little bit fun. So if this is more geared to a child, we should know that up front too as well, because I feel like this is kind of universal. It could work for anybody, but it does have some fun factor to that again, which is great. But you're right, all those little nuances of great copy or a headline or two in between, that's all it needs to really like help tell this story a little bit more. Yeah,
yep, exactly.
Very
and Nick
cool.
and I talk about this a little bit, but if you are writing a case study, you need to sell it like it's the best thing that anyone's ever seen. If it's, we get this question a lot, Nick, I'll ask you and you can give the response. Should I put, if I've done a bunch of student work, should I note that it's student work in my case study? Should I let everyone know that it is student work here on this case study?
At least 3 or 4 times?
Yes.
No, the answer is no. It is your work. It's your talent. It's your skill. It's your creativity, right? What we have said too is not only don't say it, but if there is something in there, and this is going to some of your ex-students that are in the chat room right now, refresh it. You can always go back and make it look, maybe it looks a little too student to you now because you did it 3 or 4 years ago. Refresh it, change it up a little bit. But again, do not mention, we've seen every reviewer and whatever just say, X that off immediately.
Yep. You are your work. Like your work is you. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. If it's personal project, if it's student work, just go for it and sell it. So let's look at, all right, we're taking another step, chat, walk with us. We're taking another big step into a great case study. And yes, chat, I don't know where Squatty came from. I'm so sorry. It was the first name that popped into my head. So let's look at a
fits
great,
the bill, babe.
It is. Let's look at a great case study. And right here, Nick, we land here. And what's your initial feeling?
Okay. Mood. I'm getting vibes. I'm getting nighttime. I'm getting this cool Asian overlay to it as well. I'm feeling it's probably going to go into makeup or something a little bit. And I haven't even read a word yet. I'm just looking at tone and balance and that neon, all this little contrast of everything to me is just starting a great conversation. What do you think?
And it's all about visual communication. When we're landing on a case study and starting out that portfolio, I open this and again, it's like a book. And when I look at this, it's that first sentence. It's saying, in the year 3000, we're in a small village in Asia where the beauty community is exploding. Like new standards have come to like extreme highs to give you the greatest skin you've ever seen.
She's revealing from the back of the fan. It's like perfect, right?
Exactly. Yes. It's telling us all of this information visually by using colors, by using type, by using the arrangement of the pieces. This is not about this design, right? We look at this. I don't care at all about what's on this computer. I'm just getting the vibe and I understand what this project is, right?
Yes.
And then we scroll and Nick, what's the best thing that has ever happened in a case study?
concept and objective and something telling me what it is.
That's it. Yes. So you have brought
This
us
is
into
great.
that world, right? And think of it as that shot that you see in movies, right? We zoom through the doors open up, and then you're standing there and you're like, let's go. And I'm
Let's
like, where are we
go.
going?
I'm going to tell
That's
you a
what this is.
story.
Yep, exactly. So Obictario has gone to the other side of the world to be inspired by what is the newest makeup. And it was in the light of the East that came make be modern Asia new color effects, textures for you to shine. Discover the vibrant trends of Asian pop and let the Eastern brightness reflect on you. Oh
good.
my gosh.
Like, what would you do if you don't think you have good copy skills?
So if you don't have good copy skills, find a copywriter and team up with them. Copywriters always want to get practice to work with you. Maybe find somebody that you're going to pay to write awesome copy for your case studies. 100%. If there are people you're looking to better your case studies, they're looking to practice copywriting, team up. Hang out. I forgot what the word was. So then continuing through here, this is what makes a great case study, right? We've gone in there, we've told them where we are going. And from there, what are we talking about next, Nick?
Color, typography. Notice the 2 is brought in as this kind of like next header. I'm feeling like she's putting page numbers in our chapter, dare I say.
Yep.
Very cool. I do think too, sometimes you could give us a break from a common dark color that's in the background. I know it's the mood, I know it's the vibe, but maybe a dark gold band every once in a while, I think could help break it up. I think we might see that later down here, but I love the idea here. Instead of, we've said this a few times, instead of giving the RGB breakdown of a color, give it a name.
Give it a name.
Give it a sexy name that someone's going to remember, that's based off of that program and and the brand itself. Love this look though. She's really nailing it. It looks great.
Absolutely. Yes. And presenting to me, it helps to tell that story, right? That if this isn't just RGB, if it's dripping gold, if we have, you know, like midnight rouge, like stuff like that, that it helps to tell that story. And that's what you want. You want to tell that story. So name your colors. It's more fun that way.
Yes.
And a lot of people asking, these look like they've been built out in InDesign or Photoshop. This probably has been, and it looks like it's uploaded as slides. So you can do that and then upload as slides on Behance, and you can design full custom. You can have these chapter markers, or you can drop the images on Behance and write your copy as you go.
Yeah, this looks great. Look, okay, see the breaks we're getting now, where obviously showing us the what the website looks like within this presentation. But I'm loving the way this looks. There's a great consistency with font, with product placement, with backgrounds. Just noting all of those things that sing together. I think that really, really helps. Love that she's even popped in this grid desktop thing with how it's being responsive.
Yeah. So
showing us that overlay. That's fantastic.
You can actually see here the overlay that's popping up. This is starting a new image. So it's a bunch of images that have been created that are put in there. And check this out. So this is what I kind of want to talk about, right? So we have this responsive. Here's the website. Great. But you're telling me your thought process. The combination of grids and flexible images makes the element automatically adapt to the width of any display. This is great. So even though this app that we saw, up here, right?
Yes.
We were super excited about, we're like, this is cool. Oh man, look at this UI. This is really fun. Being able to show the thought process of, like they are totally thinking through each and every piece of this. And then even here showing how it builds out into a broader system. And Nick, I know that you love seeing this in case studies.
Oh yeah. And I want to mention, Cara just mentioned, should it be one long solid image or do you break it up in slides? I would break it up, because a lot of times if you're just doing one, it will take all that time to load up regardless of what application you're using. So break it up so when that first one shows, it's crystal clear and all the other ones are loading up in the background as you'll scroll down. So that's always a good tip. Look at this. Like, I mean, again, now we're getting into like, I love this vibe of seeing things cropped off nicely. The same approach, the same graphics are now in the UI of the app. That's super smart. You don't want to see a disconnect there. And look at this. I mean, just stop the press. Come on. Moving right on the track with where we are with this. Okay, this has to be first in her Behance tile. And I think you got to, maybe this is a good point to mention how your order of your tiles are. Your most recent, most kind of exciting work should be first. What do you think?
Yep.
You know?
I definitely think that you should curate and kind of pick what goes on there and what doesn't.
Yeah.
We're actually going to look at a portfolio next that actually throws out everything that we've told you. And like we said, we're literally two guys here that are giving our opinions, that are giving our perspective and our experience on how we experience portfolios, what we think will be good for you. But there's a wild card, and we're going to look at that next, that you can throw whatever you want in there. And if you're going to own it,
Exactly.
own it.
Own it.
And someone is asking if you are laying out UI, UX, or even motion reels. I'd love to see your wireframes, the behind the scenes of how you're building that. That's really what we want to see there. And Colby has a great question here. Should you consider how these case studies look on mobile devices as well? Absolutely.
Yes, that's so true. Oh, look at this. This is looking great.
Yep.
Nice little sign off at the end.
Oh,
I think too.
shoot.
Oh, wow. That's even moving. Look at that. Very nice.
I love
Very
that.
Nice.
How many tiles should a good portfolio have? It's up to you. Whatever you feel like represents you well and tells your story, that's how many you need.
A nice little hot tip is what you can put as many as you want on Behance, but when you make portfolio, it pulls from your Behance tiles and you can choose just the ones you want. You can even change it up. Let's say you know people are going to be looking at you for a particular discipline. You can make those live on your portfolio and turn some other ones off.
Yep, exactly. And you can add pages to your portfolio. You can do all kinds of customization. We'll be looking at that tomorrow on this same stream. We'll be reviewing some more, and we'll be showing you how you convert your Behance into an Adobe portfolio. All right, let's hop into our last one. Jacob Schwander, I just about fell out of my chair because he speaks my language. In this chat, we are going to look at what we think is a good case study, but then we're also going to flip over into what we think is the wild card approach. So let's go into the Go Showalter. Yes. So let's look at the Go Showalter studio. I believe it looks like this is personal branding.
Yeah.
Which is great. We always talk about you are your own dream client, right? If you want to do crazy stuff, do it and just present it as a project. Why not?
I know. I love that idea. This is great.
Yes. So looking really through this, we're getting in here and we're starting with the brand project. We've got the personal branding, and Nick, it looks like right off the bat, there is a little bit of a cardinal sin that I think, and that is slapping the logo on everything.
Everything. We call it logo slapping. That's exactly what it is. Break it up, have a logo system that you've designed. I think just those two, the kind of GO with the X on top, could be its own logo that you use kind of independently and maybe in a secondary color. But this is a great chance to bring in copy, mottos, taglines, other things like that. So it's not just the logo over and over and over again on all these different applications. Yeah.
Yep. And someone says, would you say that Adobe Portfolio is greater than Behance? No, they work in tandem with each other. Yes.
Just different skins. Think of them as the same exact populated projects, just a different skin. That's all it is.
Yep. Yeah. And so here we have a great intro copy. I'd also love to see this right off the bat. Just tell me what this is. A father and son creative duo. Boom, I'm in. Right?
Perfect.
Right off the bat, this is what this is. You're telling me a little bit about what I'm about to see, but I've already seen it. So just flipping those, again, we're trying to ease into a good case study. Creating the logo is a challenge, but I'm extremely proud of the final variants. Nick, what's your take on having copy like this in case studies?
If this is a challenge that you maybe did with a group or something like that, fantastic. But in a portfolio, I wouldn't ever say this. I would just say, you know, tell me more about it and your road there. I think this makes show just a tiny bit of weakness, you know?
Yep. And I think that things like this, right? If you're making a statement, creating a logo is a challenge, but I'm extremely proud of it in its final variants. If you're extremely proud, just show me that. I don't think I need you to tell me, just show me that. And so as we scroll, I'm like, shoot, this is really great. He should be proud of this work, right?
Yes.
And my brain's already going there. So you don't need to tell me that. You can literally just show. And this is amazing. This is awesome seeing the cool system all together. Our studio space continues to update as time goes by, but here are some nice shots. So again, describing what what is about to be shown, there is a great idea in film, and that is to show something instead of say something. So if you can show emotion instead of someone walking in the room and being like, man, I'm so angry. If they come in and they break a vase, you want to show the emotion. And so just going straight into this, like this gives me so many vibes, and you're showing your process here. I want to see this. I want to see this huge.
It's fantastic. Taped on the door. That shows you that, like, I think a lot of times we think our process might look messy. It kind of should be, right?
Oh, absolutely.
There's a way to finesse it and present it well. Like, I think this is a great example, but it is a mess. And I think that's what you should be seeing. Look at this. That's the kind of sketch you should show. Use one of these guys. He's got it right there, right? Use a fat black marker, or at least something that's going to show. So when you do take that picture, we're seeing it. Like, this is fantastic. I love this.
Yes. And great. Nick, let's do a hot take on this one. What is your opinion? If you were doing a case study, you have an awesome logo and you did not do sketches for it, what's your take?
Maybe you didn't do it, or, I don't know. I want to see how you got there. You got to show me that process. It just makes sense,
Yep. And my opinion on that, I want to see how you got there. And even if you were thinking it, you still were sketching it in your head. So my opinion, this is a hot take.
Exactly.
Fake sketches after. If you are done and you need a case study, go back and try to think of what you were thinking as you were building that product digitally, and grab a piece of paper and sketch down what your thoughts were, maybe different variations you went through. I want to see that process of it being bad before it's good. And even though you did it in your head and you never had sketches, I'm totally okay with you going back and taking what was happening in your head and putting it onto paper.
Yes. Raise your hand if you've ever redone your sketch and your process while you're building the case study, right here.
Yes.
I'm waiting for chat to light up, because we should be doing that. And there's no problem with that.
Yep. And exactly. So these big wow moments are great, but I think these wow moments are for other designers. If we're making our portfolios for employers, I want to see the stuff that's small right here. Right. This is awesome. It's showing your type hierarchy. It's showing your color schemes that you're working with. If we keep scrolling through here, look at this is giving us your type hierarchy in the coolest way that you possibly could.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing a little bit of a disconnect with some of this stuff. I don't know. I think we're individually, I'm liking a lot of things, but it is starting to break up for me as we're going down here a little bit. And I'm not too sure. I'm almost thought I knew what it was going to be, but now it's getting into something different. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the justification of a lot of that column type too. I don't know if that might be an error or not, but what do you think?
I love it.
You do.
I love it.
It's intentional.
Yes, and this is going to transition into the next point that I want to make, and that is, so we've given you so much information that you can go rewatch this. It will be recorded, right? We look at this, we're like, great. We want to put it into context. We want to have a little bit of information. We want to define our objective. We want to flex on scale, show it in all these different applications. But here's my hot take. Sometimes you just completely throw that out the window. You, like everything that we've said so far, sometimes you can throw that out the window. And here's the thing. You need to decide for yourself what you're going to say and how you're going to say it. As a creative, as an artist, sometimes the ways that portfolios are traditionally made, or ways that are most effective to recruiters or whatever, doesn't matter if you just want to sell who you are. And so looking at some of this work, this is pure aesthetic. There is no explanation here. There is no type about what this is for. But guess what? I don't care, because as I look at this, I'm like, man, this, if there was explanation, would take away from it. This is an experience, and it's to help me understand who you are as a creative and as a designer.
I'm such a fan of this. And I remember a few times when we would be just telling every single portfolio, gotta give us a story, you gotta tell us this. And then a project like this would land and everyone would just shut up and look at it. You know, so again, I think sometimes it doesn't really need it. I would like to see this maybe shown in a way that is, I get that everything else has the case study, but maybe this one doesn't for some particular reason. You never know who's on the other end of, watching this. We're very open with this stuff. We want to see this kind of stuff too. I love the no rules about it, because as much as you show stuff, that may be very branded and has to stay within those disciplines, it is good to have something like that and say, wow, they've shown some different ones. I saw Chris asked a question about showing your screen grabs or a art board if the sketching wasn't really up to par or something like that. I love seeing that too. That's shown sometimes very well. You just got to make sure you're doing a good job with the crop and maybe the tint of it, because you don't want it to look too foreign to the rest of your case study.
Absolutely. And there have been times that I post like, here's my entire artboard. And I believe Nick, we did that
on Twitter, right?
Yep. On Twitter. If you want to go to Nick's Twitter, we have a thread that a bunch of designers started posting their worst artboards. We're showing off the bad work. I believe it was in our imposter syndrome episode.
Yeah. We just wanted to show the light, you know?
Yep. We had great designers in there that are people that we look up to that were like, oh, they're big names and whatever, that it's like, here's the crappy stuff that I did. And a lot of times that's what you want to see. So we've got about 7 minutes left here. And so we're going to keep talking, giving you some advice, but we want your questions. Keep those questions rolling in, and we're going to answer those as we continue on. I do definitely want to remind you that you can join our Discord right here, bit.ly/fallsemester-al. It is case sensitive. I think that a mod will drop the link in chat for you. And then make sure you join us back tomorrow for our session, as well as Friday for our question palooza, 1 p.m. Pacific time. We will be answering all of your questions. And if you're unfamiliar, Nick, what have we been doing this semester?
Oh, just a little thing called like school fall semester. Really fun. We have topics per class. You will get some homework that you can share on the Discord channel, and we chime in on there. But if anything, it's just another great environment and another great community to work with a ton of other designers. It's really neat to see it become quite a little community, and love seeing everybody here. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. So we are doing a full semester of classes. We have lessons each week, a little bit of homework for you, and a great community. So make sure that you tune in on Friday. We'll give you all the information about that. And oh my gosh, I asked for questions, and boy, are you guys getting it in there.
Gosh.
So someone asked that I saw, is it better to have a website or a Behance? What's your opinion on that?
Well, you start with a Behance, and then you can turn it into a website using Portfolio.
That's right. So you can have both, best of both worlds, and you can start by building your Behance. Once it gets to a place where you feel comfortable, we're excited about it, you can flip that over into an Adobe Portfolio very easily, and we'll be showing you that tomorrow. And if we want to go back to just our talking heads, I'm not going to be sharing anything else on the screen. It's just going to be us answering your questions for the rest. Where can you find the presentation? I will be putting the presentation on our Discord server at the end of this in about 5 minutes. And Nick, what else is going to be in that Discord server?
Ooh, I think we have some free fonts. I believe so.
That's right. We'll be dropping some free fonts for you guys. So you can download those and play around with those. Somebody has been asking, I have a small snippet like about me slides in my portfolio. Is it worth it to keep there, or would it come off as egotistic?
Not at all.
Nope.
On the About Us page, that's the perfect place to do it. We were just having this conversation about maybe taking it off the resume, which a lot of students are doing, it seems like, and put it in that About Me page or some section there on your website. I'm a big fan of that, 100%.
Absolutely. And a lot of people asking tomorrow, it is at 1:30 p.m. We will be going live. It may be at 1, so just coming out at 1 o'clock and we'll see what happens. It's either 1 or 1:30 tomorrow. We're still working out some schedule stuff. But let's plan on 1:30. And if you show up at 1, we'll be hanging out and chat with you, answering questions and whatnot.
And I see a great question.
Hit it. We got 4 minutes. Let's do it.
She says, my employer doesn't give her the permission to use her work on a portfolio. What should you do? Maybe just don't have a public portfolio. If you are going to share it with a potential employer that is going to interview you, I'd say it's fine to show one-on-one. Just don't have a public one. You have to show something, right? I mean, they can't hold you from doing that. They can't hold you from doing it on a public site.
Yes. And Catherine, great question for photographers. Would you recommend having portrait work in your case studies? Yes. If that's the work that you want to get, show that work.
Totally.
But don't just show the behind the scenes. What I want to see is, and photographers, this is going to blow your mind, sketch your shots before you take them. Use colored pencils, do your lighting where you want everything to be. And then I want to see that in a case study. I want to see the broad shot of how your studio is set up. I want to see the outtakes of the models. I want to see the before and
Set up.
after your retouching. I don't really care about the final product most of the time. I just want to see how you got there. So the photographers, I think that is a cardinal sin that I see so many Behance profiles that are just photos. I want to see all of the steps that it took you to get there. I think there are other platforms that are for like the polished button up, like, look at how amazing I am. I think Behance is so great for showing that process, and anything you can do to incorporate that and foster the community of feedback, please put that on Behance.
I love to see that. I think maybe a photographer taking that extra step would stand out beyond head and shoulders of so many others, because I think we're not seeing that in a lot of the other disciplines. So using this model, whatever creativity you do, these case studies, these things will really, really help you kind of stand out. And that's what everybody's asking for.
Absolutely. And someone said, should I group projects by employer? No, I don't think so. Just, it's your work. And the same thing with student work versus like client work. It's work. Just show your best work, whatever you're proud of. If you're not proud of it, then pull it off. One of the harshest critiques I've ever given on Adobe Office Hours, we looked at a portfolio and I immediately said, I don't care about this because obviously you don't either. And that is, if there is work that you see that I can tell that you don't care about it and that you're just putting it up to have another project, I'm going to roast you. If you don't care about it, then I can't care about it. I want you to sell it like it's the best thing ever. I always say this, pitch it like you stole it. Like pitch it like it's the greatest thing that you've ever seen. And Nick, we've got about 30 seconds left. So let's start a sign off. Any closing words?
Oh my gosh. I would just say, tune in tomorrow. We're going to continue this. Feel free to reach out on us. Both Andrew and I are totally in on Instagram. You can follow us there. Make sure if there's any questions we didn't get, we'll try to add it in there on tomorrow. That would be fantastic.
And go get that presentation and those free fonts in the Discord right now. Ahmad will drop that link for you. And we will see you all tomorrow on the next episode of Adobe Office Hours.
Bye, guys. Thanks for the great session.